Good morning, and welcome to Redeemer Lutheran Church. I'm Pastor Gary Lodeholt. Benjamin Franklin is well known for many pithy little sayings like, "Early to bed and early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise." Or, "A penny saved is a penny earned." We probably know 1,000 sayings like that, little aphorisms that we use to guide our lives. "A stitch in time saves 9. Don't count your chickens before they hatch." I could go on and on with these little pieces of wisdom, and you probably could too. This week we are looking at some examples of wisdom literature in the Bible. Wisdom literature was material in the Old Testament that sought to guide us in the way of God in daily life. And those aphorisms by Benjamin Franklin might most resemble the book of Proverbs in the Bible, which for the most part is one little saying like that right after another. However, we are looking at a few examples of wisdom literature in the Old Testament that weren't presented as little sayings like that, but rather were given to us in a story. And frankly, I would be surprised if any of you have ever paid attention to the small little wisdom story we have today. Our story today comes from the book of 2 Kings, and let me give you a bit of context to understand what is going on. Israel had a king named David, and David was followed by his son Solomon. However, when Solomon's reign was over, the nation of Israel split into two nations. The one in the north kept the name Israel, while the one in the south was called Judah. They both had a succession of kings, and while the two nations knew that they were related and connected to each other, they didn't always like each other. You might compare it to how the people in the South felt about the North in the years following the Civil War here in our own history. What's more, at different times, one king or the other might start getting too big for his britches and try to expand his territory at the expense of the other nation. And so it is that in 2 Kings 14, we come across the story of Amaziah, king of Judah, who sent a message, a challenge really, to Jehoash of Israel. "Come, let us meet face to face," it said. Now, this wasn't an invitation to get together for tea or even for high-level discussions. Amaziah was challenging Jehoash to come out to war. "Let our armies come up against one another face to face," was his intent. Jehoash sent back a little piece of wisdom in reply. "A thorn bush on Lebanon sent to a cedar on Lebanon, saying, 'Give your daughter to my son for a wife.' But a wild animal of Lebanon passed by and trampled down the thorn bush." Now we might find that a bit obscure, but Jehoash was making a simple point. He was telling Amaziah that he may have had success in other battles, but when it comes to attacking Israel, he'd best rest on his laurels and not try to possess the land the way a man might possess a wife. He explains his point just that way. "You have indeed defeated Edom, and your heart has lifted you up. Be content with your glory and stay at home. For why should you provoke trouble so that you fall, you and Judah with you?" Maybe put in modern-day way, we might say, don't bite off more than you can chew. I wonder if there's some wisdom here for us too. I wonder if this speaks to our hunger for power in our lives, or perhaps to our desire for more and more things. I wonder if this might be saying to us to slow down and focus on our relationship with God and our neighbor rather than on all we can get. I'm reminded of the story of Jesus with Martha and her sister Mary. With Jesus in their home, Martha busied herself with the chores of hosting, while Mary sat at Jesus' feet, drinking in his words and his presence. Now, certainly Martha wasn't wrong to do what she was doing, and there are times when busying yourself with needed tasks is important. But the point from that story is that it is also important to take time to be with and listen to Jesus. And Mary is praised because she was making the most of the opportunity while she had it. There's a time for things to be done, but also a time for growth and spiritual nourishment too. Maybe we should rest on our laurels a bit. Maybe we should stop striving and drink from the well of God's love and grace. Thanks for watching, and remember to let this day belong to God.